I've made a ton of giant 3D prints, and you might be thinking that it's difficult, but in this video, I'm gonna show you the easy way that I do it, and the best part is, this will work on any 3D printer. To make this as simple as possible, I've split my method into 3 easy to follow steps. We'll start with processing the model for printing, then actually printing the model, and finally perfecting the model with primer and paint. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is find a model that you wanna make super big, and you're gonna wanna bring it into whatever slicer software you use. For me, I'm using Bambu Studio. So I'm just gonna drag and drop it in here, load it up, and there you go. And then I'm gonna scale it up to the size I want, which is about 500%. Now, obviously, unless you have a giant printer, this is not all gonna fit on one plate. So I'm gonna hit File, Export, and export this giant model as an STL. Now, here's where Luban comes in. It's a software that allows you to take these giant models and cut them into chunks that the printer can actually print. I'll put a link to it down in the description, and it's great because you can get a free 30-day trial. By the way, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do think that right now, it's the best software that's out there for this kind of stuff. Okay, so once you have the software open, you're gonna wanna go to File and then open the giant STL we just exported. There's a way to scale things up within the Luban software, but for me at least, it was just easier to do it in Bambu Slicer. All right, so now that we have our object in here, we're gonna wanna go to Mesh and then Cut. It's gonna give us a tip, we'll just say yes. Make sure it's set to millimeter. You can have it cut for multiple different sizes of printers at once, but to keep things simple, we're just gonna stick to one. So we're gonna select single printer, make sure you're selecting rectangle here, and then go through and fill in the exact size of your print bed. So for me, I'm gonna fill in the specs for a BambuLab A1. We want close cut, so we'll say yes on close cut. Axial cut, no, we don't want axial cut. So I definitely recommend that you keep part number on. It's gonna help you in the future stay organized with all the pieces you're printing, and also when it comes time to put them together, having the part number makes it a lot easier. Now we're in the connector section, and there's a couple different options. We have plug, dowel, and none. I recommend going with dowel because with plug, you kind of waste a little bit of filament with supports, and the dowel just prints off these tiny pieces that are easily slid between the two main parts. And if you don't want to use the 3D printed dowels, you can use wooden ones instead. I've never done it, but it is an option. Here, I would recommend kind of experimenting with what you want to do. These are the dowel settings I use. I always end up tweaking them a little bit in the slicer, resizing and stuff to get the perfect fit, because the dowels can be a bit finicky. First off, we're going to want to select prism, square, and we're going to go down to the number. I like to leave it at 3. Depth ratio and size, I'll put the depth ratio at 1.5, the size at 5, and -1 for the tolerance. All right, now that we have all of our settings, we're gonna hit cut, and this is where we're gonna need to create a folder that all the pieces are gonna be put into. So I'm gonna say just giant balloon dog, and now the magic happens. Boom, look at that. This one's cut, there's not a super big print, this is more of a demo. But this is sort of an exploded view, so you can see where the dowels are gonna go and how everything's gonna work. Now that we have it cut into parts, we're gonna bring it back into Bambu Studio, or really whatever slicer you wanna use, and drag them out so that each one of them is on a plate. I always rotate them so that the flat cut part is on the print bed. This way you can minimize supports. These are the settings that I use. So go into the strength section. For infill, this is where I save a lot of filament. I like to do 5% infill. Then to support, and if a part needs support, I do tree support generally. This just seems to work the best for me. I recommend slicing all the parts to see exactly how much filament you're gonna need. Once you see how much filament you need, then you can see if you have enough filament for it, and it could be different colors because we're gonna paint it anyway. Or if you want, you can go onto Amazon, and I just like to buy the cheapest stuff I can find. Since we're gonna be painting it and sanding it anyway, it doesn't really matter what filament you use. I always like to use PLA because it's pretty cheap and it's really easy to work with. All right, now that everything's sliced, we can start printing. This is probably the easiest part of the whole process. If you have your printer settings dialed in, you can just sit back, relax, and let the printers do the work. I'm really lucky because I have multiple printers I can use, which cuts the total time down by a lot. But if you only have one printer and you want to speed this process up, this video's sponsor, PCBWay, comes in clutch. They're super well known for custom PCBs, but they also have a 3D printing service. All you have to do is go to their website, click on 3D printing, drag and drop your model in here, select between all these different materials and colors. You can even select how much infill you want. And if you don't have the files, you can drop even a technical drawing in there and they can still help you out. And the lead time is 3 to 4 business days, which is pretty fast. If you have a 3D printer and just want to speed up your project, or if you don't have a printer and still want to make these giant models, PCBWay is the way to go. If you want to check them out, the link is down in the description. I want to say a huge thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. A huge tip that I have for when you're 3D printing these parts is to stay organized. Make a spreadsheet or even a physical note where you can check off the pieces as you print them, because you don't want to print a piece more than once. Believe me, I've made that mistake so many times and it hurts. Some of my bigger projects have over 50 pieces and can take up to a week of printing, and this is really where all the pieces start to run together and things can get confusing. Thankfully, this one only has 5 big pieces and it'll only take about 1.5 to 2 days. Since this is a relatively small project, I didn't take my own advice and I figured I didn't need a list, but I almost printed the same part twice. So make sure to stay organized or else mistakes are going to happen. All right, now that we have all the pieces done, we can start assembling. Gotta make sure to remove the supports first. These tree supports are really easy to remove. Ooh. Some of them don't come off as easy, so I'm just gonna use pliers. Sometimes the supports will leave a little bit of a rough surface. Don't worry, with a little bit of primer, we can start sanding that away and make it more smooth. Super glue works pretty well. Pretty sure it could be any super glue. I just like to put it, or a little drizzle of it on, and put in these dowels, which kind of snap in nicely here. And then go ahead and put on layer. Ooh, this stuff comes out kind of fast. A little bit of super glue here. For my bigger stuff, I usually use clamps to hold them together, just so that the super glue can dry, but for this I found these little Velcro strips that I think will work well. I'm planning on giving this to my sister when it's done. She really likes balloon dogs, so there we go. Sometimes this gluing part can be the sketchiest part, because once you glue these things together, it's really hard to get them apart. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but these are slightly different colors of yellow because I use different filaments, but that's not gonna matter because we're gonna paint and sand it anyway.
1 hour later.
All right, it's been drying for about an hour, so I'm gonna take these things off, then we can start our final step. But before we get into that, if you notice there are gaps between the pieces of your build, I really like to use heavy-duty spackling to really fill those gaps in and really hide all of the 3D print's imperfections, so that when we get to the next step, now we can start painting. Normally, I like to start off with this flat gray primer, but I found this spray paint that's a combination of primer and paint, so I'm gonna try it out. And I always like to finish it off with a gloss or a matte coat, depending on the look I'm going for. I'm probably spraying a little too close here, but it was like 11 o'clock at night, so you'll have to give me a pass. And if you're wondering, yes, that is a toilet paper roll I'm using to prop up this print, but you kind of have to get resourceful when you're doing this kind of stuff. I did about 3 coats of this paint primer stuff and the color was starting to look pretty good. I'm spray painting this inside my garage, but I opened up the garage door to hopefully get as many of the fumes outside as possible. I also wore a mask to hopefully block as much as I can. Most of the time, I don't actually use spray paint, and I'm not actually the one painting. On a lot of my big projects, my mom actually helps me out with the painting, and she does a great job. And this is one of the really cool things about projects like these. Everyone's going to have a different style. The files might be sliced and printed by machine, but this is where you get to add your own human touch. And it's given me a great opportunity to work on a project with and spend some great quality time with my mom. Jumping back to our current project, I put one last coat on and then hit it with a gloss finish. I did 2 coats of the gloss just to make sure everything was covered, because we want to give this a really cool shiny balloon effect. All right, so I let this thing dry overnight and I'm really liking how it turned out. I might add a few finishing touches, but for now it's looking pretty good. If this video has been helpful for you, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for how I can make my process better, or any projects that you're working on, I'd love to hear about them down in the comments. And with all that said, I'll see you in the next one.